A wealthy man invited a homeless woman to his former fiancée's wedding, and her actions left everyone astonished. Before we dive into the tale, please share in the comments where you're tuning in from. Delight in the tale. William Lancaster, a self-assured millionaire, grasped a wedding invitation in his hands. It came from his former fiancée, the one who had walked away for another without a second thought. And now, she had sent an invitation, as if she intended to flaunt her happiness before him. Is this some kind of prank? He grumbled, flinging the envelope onto the table. His companion, Damien Carter, grabbed the invitation and let out a whistle. That's a harsh strike. Are you heading out? William emitted a humorless chuckle. And arrive solo as if I've let myself down? Absolutely not. Then choose someone. Demonstrate that you've progressed. It was a solid concept, yet simply choosing anyone wouldn't suffice. He sought to create a lasting impression, to keep Olivia pondering his intentions. Later that day, as he exited his office, his mind still lingered on the matter when he spotted a young woman seated on the sidewalk in front of a restaurant. Though her clothes were tattered and she bore the marks of hardship, her face radiated a striking beauty. Her untamed hair cascaded over her shoulders, and her eyes weren't begging. They were challenging. Without a second thought, he approached her. He drew near, his hands tucked into his pockets, gaze cast downward upon her. Greetings to you. Looking for some cash? The woman glanced upward, her expression devoid of appreciation. Her gaze cut through the air, weighing him carefully, as if she were contemplating his value for even a fleeting moment of her focus. Then, a sly smile danced across her lips. What is this all about? Is this a social experiment? You inquire, and based on my response, you either flip a coin or turn your back. William raised his eyebrows. No one spoke to him in that manner. Join me at an event, and I'll provide you with an opportunity that could transform your life. She emitted a soft laugh, gently shaking her head in disbelief. Is this sufficient to transform my existence? Incredible. Do you consistently employ grandiose statements, or only when you wish to portray yourself as a heroic figure? Her voice dripped with sarcasm, catching him off guard in a way that felt disproportionate. He maintained his poise. All you have to do is put on your best outfit, wear a smile, and join me. She tilted her head, a glimmer of amusement dancing in her eyes. I understand. You wish for me to be your charming ornament for the evening. William squinted, his gaze sharp and focused. This woman was deliberately provoking him. If the offer doesn't interest you, I can seek out another candidate. She erupted into laughter, her joy ringing out clearly. Is this some kind of prank? To be frank, I don't observe a queue of candidates hanging around here. He sealed his lips tightly. How on earth was she flipping this back on him? She rose to her feet, brushed off her dress, and moved in closer, uncomfortably near. I'll accept, she said, her tone suggesting she was granting him a rare privilege, simply out of curiosity. William sensed an ominous presence in the atmosphere. Intrigued? What piques your interest? He inquired with a hint of skepticism. She smiled, her eyes shimmering with an enigmatic allure. To discover the lengths to which someone like you is prepared to venture. William paused, his body frozen in place for a brief instant. Who on earth was this woman? Isabella nestled into the plush seat of the luxury car, her eyes locked onto the vibrant cityscape unfolding beyond the window. She appeared unfazed, calm, and indifferent, simply attentive. William, seated next to her, found himself anticipating a response from her. There are no inquiries, without a doubt, only acceptance. You wouldn't even believe where we're headed, he said, shattering the stillness. She glanced at him, a playful smirk dancing on her lips. Perhaps a lavish location I envision. William arched an eyebrow. Are you really not curious? Ought I to be? She inclined her head. You discovered me on the sidewalk and proposed a sum to accompany you for the evening. That's certainly odd, but I can't imagine you'd be considering selling me into human trafficking or anything like that. William chuckled. No, nothing quite that intense. Merely a gathering of individuals. A wedding, is it? He gazed at her, What makes you certain? Your expression says it all. A man seeking retribution against another. William tightened his jaw. Isabella was deciphering him effortlessly, and he found it unsettling. And what if I am? She gave a slight shrug. It's all the same to me as long as the compensation is there. William beamed. He appreciated her demeanor, yet he still sought to uncover the essence of this woman, a person who embraced everything with such ease. Shortly thereafter, the vehicle came to a halt before a sophisticated structure, a celebrated beauty salon. Isabella ventured forth without hesitation, trailing behind William as he entered. The air was thick with the scent of luxury, and a flurry of stylists hurried to offer their assistance as soon as he stepped inside. A total makeover is what I desire, William commanded, from hair to makeup to wardrobe, all of it. The team acknowledged her presence, and in no time, Isabella found herself comfortably settled in a styling chair. If you want to change your mind, now's the time, she said, as the hairdresser began to untangle her hair. Convince me otherwise? Regarding myself, I suppose I anticipated encountering someone more memorable. William folded his arms across his chest. Is there nothing that captures your admiration? This is not the way. Isabella gently shut her eyes, surrendering to the soothing sensation as the hairdresser began to wash her hair. I have experienced this realm previously. William's brow furrowed in confusion, yet before he could voice his thoughts, the stylist ushered him into the waiting area. Mr. Lancaster, may we proceed with our work? He cast a final look at Isabella before departing, curiosity piqued. Time seemed to stretch endlessly. As the stylist finally summoned him, William rose and made his way toward the salon. Upon catching sight of her, he paused, breath held in anticipation. The woman before him appeared transformed, a stark contrast to the figure he had encountered on the curb. Her previously unruly hair now cascaded in sleek, lustrous waves. Her face, once marred by dirt and fatigue, now radiated perfection, her eyes enhanced by elegant makeup. The tailored dress accentuated her silhouette, while the elevated heels enhanced her air of confidence. Yet, what astonished him the most was the look on her face. She appeared neither shocked nor impressed by her transformation. She gazed at her reflection in the mirror, studying it as though she had encountered this image previously. What is it exactly? She glanced at him, meeting his inquisitive stare. Your expression suggests you're not taken aback. Isabella smiled, an enigmatic sparkle dancing in her eyes. For that reason, I am not. William folded his arms across his chest. Who is it that you are? Isabella? With a swift motion, she took the purse from the stylist and made her way toward him. A person adept at recognizing and capitalizing on favorable chances as they arise. The vehicle glided effortlessly along the lit path, heading toward the gathering that William had previously shunned but now felt a newfound excitement to join. Next to him, Isabella surveyed the scenery with a tranquility that bordered on exasperating. He had anticipated that she would exhibit a hint of anxiety or nervousness at some moment. Yet, after departing from the salon, her poise stayed impeccable, as though she had long been acquainted with that realm. You're quite silent, William remarked, briefly diverting his gaze from the road to meet hers. Isabella responded with a subtle smile, savoring the tranquility around her. He scowled. Many individuals facing your circumstances would find themselves captivated by all of this. She chuckled gently. Perhaps I stand apart from the crowd. William understood that pushing her any further would lead to no fruitful outcome. She possessed an enigmatic quality that captivated him. Yet he knew that uncovering the truth would not come without effort. The vehicle came to a halt before the opulent banquet hall, where a multitude of distinguished guests had already assembled. Outside, pairs emerged from luxurious limousines and sleek sports cars, flaunting their exquisite jewelry and high-fashion dresses. The event was meticulously documented by photographers and journalists, capturing every detail of the wedding for the society pages. William was the first to step out, effortlessly adjusting his suit. He reached out his hand to Isabella, who took it without a moment's pause. As she emerged from the car, the effect was unmistakable. Every gaze was fixed upon her. The women murmured softly to one another, seeking to unravel the enigma of the intriguing woman by William Lancaster's side. She drew the attention of the men around her. Isabella, however, remained unfazed. With flawless grace, she raised her chin and offered a subtle smile, as though she were already accustomed to being in the spotlight. William led her along the crimson carpet to the entrance of the hall. As they strolled, Isabella wore a calm demeanor, revealing no astonishment at the opulent environment. "Come with me," William murmured. "Maintain a courteous demeanor, wear a smile, and avoid attracting undue attention." She arched an eyebrow. "Did you bring me here to provoke your ex or to fade into the background?" William sealed his lips, remaining silent. Isabella remarked with a hint of amusement, "That's what I thought." As they stepped through the double doors, they found themselves in the grand hall, where crystal chandeliers shimmered beneath a warm golden glow. The chamber brimmed with elite individuals, adorned in their most exquisite garments. Before long, Olivia and her fiancé appeared within William's view. Olivia appeared breathtaking in a sophisticated white dress, her smile artfully designed to captivate all around her. Charles Montrose, the man she was destined to marry, embodied all the qualities her family would find acceptable: affluent, conventional, and reliably steadfast. Olivia's gaze locked onto William's. For a fleeting moment, she appeared taken aback by his presence. Yet, her eyes caught sight of Isabella and came to a standstill. Olivia's expression shifted slightly, as if she were attempting to discern the identity of the captivating woman beside her former fiancé. With a measured grin, William guided Isabella straight to their side. "Olivia," he addressed her with a courteous but distant demeanor. She blinked several times, then managed to conjure a smile. "William, what an unexpected delight. Your arrival was quite a surprise to me." "Naturally, I arrived." He glanced at Isabella, "and I had companions with me." Olivia scrutinized Isabella from head to toe. "It seems we haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. Who are you?" Before William had a chance to reply, Isabella reached out her hand effortlessly. "It's a delight to make your acquaintance, Isabella." Her voice resonated with strength and grace, her posture exuded perfection, and her smile revealed an unwavering confidence. Olivia paused, her hand hovering before the shake, a clear sign of her unease. "You seem familiar," Olivia observed. Isabella beamed, her head tilting ever so slightly. "Am I?" Olivia managed to put on another smile, yet William could see the unease lurking in her eyes. She felt a sense of unease, precisely as he intended. Charles cleared his throat, attempting to dispel the uncomfortable silence. "Shall we raise a glass?" He lifted his champagne flute. William nodded, yet just as he was about to turn away, Isabella offered a courteous smile and uttered a remark that surprised everyone. "I wish you all the happiness in the world. Marriage represents a profound commitment. I once found myself engaged." William stood still. Olivia and Charles shared a meaningful look. "Is that so?" Olivia inquired, striving for a relaxed demeanor. Isabella inclined her head, savoring a sip of champagne. However, it didn't come together as planned. "My fiancé concluded that I wasn't the ideal fit for his family." William experienced a shiver coursing through his body. She conveyed a distinct message, and Olivia picked up on it. Her gaze sharpened just a bit. "What a fascinating coincidence." Isabella beamed with joy. "I share that sentiment as well." A heavy stillness enveloped the atmosphere. William noticed that Olivia was having a hard time maintaining her calm. At last, Isabella gently brushed her fingers against William's arm. "Care to join me on the dance floor?" He blinked, taken aback. "Shall we dance?" "Indeed. Or would you prefer to remain here and observe your former fiancée attempt to recall how she recognizes me?" William let out a gentle laugh. He found the game that Isabella was engaged in quite enjoyable. "Shall we dance?" They turned and left, leaving Olivia standing there, clearly shaken. As they moved gracefully across the dance floor to the enchanting sounds of the orchestra, William locked his gaze with Isabella's, their eyes speaking volumes. He intentionally did that, She beamed with delight. Haven't I mentioned that I've experienced this realm previously? William experienced a blend of annoyance and respect. Isabella was more than a mere figure he encountered on the street. She was fully aware of her intentions. The melodies glided effortlessly through the grand ballroom, while William and Isabella elegantly traversed the dance floor. His eyes stayed fixed on hers, attempting to unravel her mystery. Isabella exuded an air of perfect poise, her lips forming a cryptic smile that suggested she was fully aware of her intentions. "You continue to amaze me," William whispered, guiding her with careful intent. "Is that something positive or negative?" Isabella raised an eyebrow. "I'm still weighing my options." She chuckled gently, her eyes glimmering with delight. "I believe you've come to understand that I am not precisely as I appear. I've come to understand that your knowledge of this world exceeds what is typical." Isabella inclined her head ever so slightly. "I've encountered individuals like this in my past experiences." Just as William was about to inquire further, a cluster of businessmen made their way over, their champagne glasses in hand and warm smiles on their faces. He was well aware that they were investors and magnates. "Lancaster," one of them remarked, grasping William's hand firmly. "At long last, you chose to make an appearance at a social gathering." William offered a confident handshake. "I believed it would be delightful to honor the couple." The businessman's gaze swiftly turned to Isabella, observing her with keen interest. "And who is your delightful companion?" Before William had a chance to reply, Isabella moved ahead and offered her hand with an effortless grace. "It's a delight to make your acquaintance, Isabella." Her words flowed with an effortless assurance, leaving the businessmen with no doubts about her place among them. "Isabella," one of them echoed, observing her intently. "Your visage seems quite recognizable." Isabella smiled, preserving the intrigue. "It's possible we've crossed paths at a previous event." The entrepreneurs exchanged contemplative glances but chose not to delve deeper. William observed her intently. Isabella was merging into the surroundings with unsettling ease. "So, Isabella, what is it that you do?" another entrepreneur inquired, captivated by the conversation. She grasped a champagne glass from a passing waiter, swirling the liquid thoughtfully before responding. "I take pleasure in watching the financial market unfold. The recent surge in technology investments has captured attention, particularly with the emergence of new startups dedicated to artificial intelligence." A moment of quiet hung in the air. William nearly chuckled at the astonished looks on the faces of the businessmen. They were all taken aback by the clarity and eloquence of the reply. One of the men remarked on the specificity of the topic. Isabella beamed, savoring a sip of her beverage. "I simply adhere to current trends. Ultimately, it all boils down to who receives the crucial insights first, wouldn't you agree?" The men chuckled, feeling a sense of comfort settle in. Isabella had ensnared their attention. William, nonetheless, experienced an escalating sense of irritation. Isabella was more than merely blending in. She was seizing control. Just as he was about to step in, a tall man with an air of distinction made his way over. Damian Blackwood stands out as a prominent figure among the nation's investors, recognized for his keen business acumen and his remarkable talent for assessing individuals with precision. "Isabella, correct?" Damian regarded her with keen curiosity. "You appear quite at ease in this setting." She faced him, her expression warm and courteous. "Perhaps it is due to my nature." Damian chuckled. "I appreciate that. What is your connection to Lancaster?" She cast William a teasing glance before responding. "An intriguing collaboration." William's anger surged within him. Isabella was immersed in her own strategy, and he found the loss of control unsettling. Indeed, William interjected, gracefully taking the glass from her hand and passing it to a waiter. "Now, if you'll kindly allow us, I must borrow my companion for a brief moment." He took her wrist gently and guided her to a quieter corner of the ballroom. "What are you currently engaged in?" he inquired with gritted teeth. Isabella beamed. "Simply enjoying myself." "You're drawing too much attention." "Wasn't that the intention, to stir some jealousy in your ex-fiancé?" William squinted, his gaze sharp and focused. Your performance is impressive, Isabella. She inclined her head. It seems you find it frustrating when the game slips from your grasp. Don't you? William emitted a brief chuckle. You are more than just an ordinary beggar. Isabella folded her arms across her chest. It seems you needed some time to come to that realization. Just as he was about to reply, Olivia materialized next to them. I trust the party is to your liking, she remarked with a veneer of politeness, while her gaze scrutinized Isabella with a hint of wariness. Absolutely, Isabella replied before William had the chance to say anything. Olivia donned a carefully measured smile. Isabella, it seems to me that our paths have crossed at some point in the past. Perhaps, Isabella responded with a nonchalant shrug. The realm of high society can indeed feel quite intimate in the end. William observed how Olivia's lips came together in a subtle yet telling manner. And where did you meet William? Olivia pressed. Isabella beamed. I believe it adds an element of intrigue if that remains unknown. Olivia emitted a gentle chuckle, yet her eyes held a piercing intensity. Mystery undeniably infuses an intriguing element into narratives. She glanced at William. Could we have a brief conversation? William nodded, yet before he turned to leave, he stole one final glance at Isabella. She smiled knowingly, as though she was fully aware of her intentions. William trailed behind Olivia as she made her way to a secluded balcony. The night air was crisp, and the distant city lights twinkled like stars. Yet the gaze of the woman before him radiated with an intensity that felt like flames. Who is she, William? Olivia inquired directly, her arms folded over her pristine dress. He maintained a calm demeanor. Isabella, my confidant. She emitted a humorless chuckle. Please don't underestimate my intelligence. I'm familiar with the type of woman you choose to accompany you to occasions like this. And she defies expectations. William experienced a wave of annoyance. What is it that you wish to inquire about, Olivia? Her gaze was fixed on him with unwavering intensity. From where did she originate? He paused for just a moment, and that was all it took for Olivia to pick up on it. Oh my, she murmured, as though she had finally unraveled the mystery. You came across this woman on the street, didn't you? William's lack of response spoke volumes. This is unbelievable, Olivia exclaimed, her laughter tinged with disbelief. You brought a beggar to challenge me? He responded with conviction, asserting that he had brought a confident, intelligent woman who fits in here perfectly. A woman who possesses an unsettling amount of knowledge for someone who is allegedly homeless. Olivia shot back, her eyes narrowing in suspicion. She seems out of place in this world, or perhaps she truly fits in. William found her tone unappealing. Don't attempt to manipulate me, Olivia. Your entitlement to that has been revoked. She arched an eyebrow. Perhaps I don't, yet I deserve to understand who I'm engaging with. Olivia adjusted her stance, signaling that a choice had been firmly reached. Were I in your position, William, I would exercise caution. The arrival of that woman in your life was no mere coincidence. She turned and strode back to the ballroom, leaving William to grapple with his uncertainties. Isabella sensed the gazes upon her as she navigated through the crowd of guests. It was bound to happen. From the moment she stepped in, a sense of curiosity enveloped the crowd, each person attempting to unravel her mystery. Yet, she glided through the space effortlessly, as though she had been a part of it all along. Suddenly, Olivia stood before her. Your dancing is impressive. Isabella beamed with delight. Thank you, and the same to you. Olivia inclined her head, observing her intently. Your words flow beautifully. You certainly have a knack for navigating events like this with grace. Isabella responded with a serene acknowledgement of the compliment. It wasn't a compliment. It was merely an observation. Isabella observed the strain reflected in Olivia's gaze. Do you believe you truly understand me? Olivia chuckled gently. I don't merely think. I am certain. Isabella maintained her posture with unwavering steadiness. So, Olivia, what's your take on who I really am? Olivia studied her intently for a while before breaking into a smile. That's what I'm still working to understand. She gracefully lifted a glass of champagne from the tray held by the waiter. "Rest assured, Isabella, I always uncover the truth." She lifted her drink to her lips and melted away into the throng. Isabella paused, inhaling deeply. Olivia began to sense that something was amiss, and that posed a dilemma. Inside the vehicle, William navigated the road quietly. Isabella observed the vibrant city streets, yet she sensed his unease. "You have a question for me?" she remarked. "I certainly do." His gaze remained fixed on the road ahead. "Yet, I'm unsure if you'll respond," she smiled. "It varies based on the inquiry." William gripped the wheel tightly, executing a sudden and decisive turn. "Who is it that stands before me? Isabella?" She settled back, legs crossed at ease. "The woman you selected to leave a mark on your former fiancé?" No, his jaw clenched. "Your knowledge is extensive. Your demeanor suggests a familiarity with this world that goes beyond the ordinary." She remained silent. William arrived at his hotel, coming to a stop before turning to look at her. "I conducted an inquiry into your background." She appeared unfazed. "So, what did you discover?" He observed her intently. Silence. "Isabella, you are not real. No entries, no up-to-date details. Feels like you've wiped away your own existence." She offered a faint smile. "Perhaps certain elements should be removed." William experienced a blend of irritation and intrigue. "Mysteries are not my preference. Perhaps I'm not the best fit for you after all." She swung the car door open and stepped out, striding into the hotel without a glance over her shoulder. William remained motionless for a brief moment, his hands firmly clutching the steering wheel. There was a secret she was concealing. He was determined to uncover the truth. Isabella secured the door and rested her back against it. Her heart raced with anticipation. Olivia felt a sense of doubt creeping in. William harbored doubts. She gazed at her reflection in the mirror, the opulent gown, the impeccable cosmetics. For an instant, she resembled a different person. Or perhaps she was finally embracing the essence of her true self. She retrieved the throwaway phone concealed in her bag and quickly composed a brief message. He began his inquiry. A response arrived just moments after. "Now is the moment for you to determine your next course of action." Isabella erased the message, releasing a soft sigh. She understood that this secret couldn't remain hidden for much longer. Before long, William would uncover the reality. William lacked patience. He preferred straightforward responses, maintaining complete authority over his surroundings. However, Isabella? She was an enigma that challenged his reasoning, and it troubled him more than he cared to acknowledge. That morning, while savoring his coffee in the office, his thoughts lingered on the events of the previous night. Isabella possessed knowledge that was beyond her grasp. She carried herself as if she were part of the elite, yet there were no traces of her, no evidence of her existence in any records. Felt like she had wiped away her entire past. He lifted the receiver and punched in a number that had long been dormant. "Text, I require you to investigate a certain individual for me," he stated directly as soon as the call was picked up. A chuckle resonated from the other end, belonging to a man. "It has been some time, Lancaster. Who is the intended audience?" "Isabella." William took a brief pause. "No surname. That adds a layer of intrigue. I seek to uncover all there is to know about her origins, her true identity, and the reasons behind her apparent secrecy. Grant me a span of 48 hours. William ended the call and reclined in his chair. Should Isabella engage in a game with him, he would soon catch a glimpse of her cards. After several hours had passed since he left the office, he resolved to seek her out. He was aware that she remained at the hotel he had reserved for her. Upon his arrival, he made his way directly to her floor and rapped on the door unexpectedly. "How about we engage in a fun little activity with those who focus solely on the comments? Leave a comment with the word chocolate. Only those who have journeyed to this point will truly comprehend. Let us proceed with the narrative." After a brief pause, Isabella at last turned the handle and opened the door. She wore a simple outfit, lacking the impeccable makeup of the previous evening, yet her stance was resolute. Did you anticipate someone's arrival? William inquired, his arms crossed defiantly. Her reaction to his visit was one of calm acceptance. Not exactly, but you don't strike me as someone who makes a grand entrance, do you? He observed her intently for a moment. May we have a conversation? She moved to the side, allowing him to enter. William entered the room, his eyes sweeping over the meticulously organized surroundings. Isabella's existence on the streets left no trace behind. Have you always been this direct? He inquired. She wore a sly grin. If you find small talk unappealing, what's the point of engaging in it? William reclined on the couch, positioned opposite her. I seek the truth, Isabella. She arched an eyebrow. What is the truth regarding? Concerning you. Who are you, truly? She inclined her body ever so slightly. What is it about that troubles you so deeply? His fists clenched. Your sudden arrival, the way you embraced my offer without a second thought, and your effortless integration into this world is truly remarkable. However, there seems to be a complete absence of any records pertaining to you. She paused, lost in thought. What if I choose not to share that with you? William emitted a dry chuckle. I will discover it for myself. She gazed at him for an extended moment before letting out a sigh. Very well, William. Let me share a brief insight. He settled into the sofa, anticipation hanging in the air. I was raised in an environment strikingly akin to yours. Opulence, celebrations, influential relationships. Yet that realm can be unforgiving, particularly when you stand in the way of those who wield power unwisely. William squinted, his gaze sharp and focused. Challenge? My family had a significant impact. My father managed enterprises that dealt with substantial sums of money. Yet, a single act of treachery unraveled it all. In a single night, I found myself stripped of everything. He scowled. Who has turned against you? Isabella averted her gaze. Person I had faith in. William felt an underlying depth to the narrative that she was not fully disclosing. What made you wipe away your existence? She offered a melancholic smile. At times, vanishing feels like the wisest choice. The stillness enveloped them, thick and palpable. William sensed that she was holding back some truths from him. This marked the initial fragment of the larger picture. So, what are your next steps? Isabella elegantly crossed her legs. I'm still contemplating my options. William rose to his feet. You may continue your charade, Isabella, but I will uncover the reality. She observed him exit the room in silence, not uttering a single word. The following day, William got a call from his investigator. I discovered something intriguing. Share with me. You were correct. Isabella is not the person she claims to be. William held the phone with a firm grasp. Proceed. Her true identity is Isabella Devereux, offspring of Richard Devereux. William felt a chill seep through him. That name was familiar to him. The magnate of construction? That's the one. However, this is where it gets intriguing. Vic Richard Devereux faced bankruptcy a few years back following a scandal related to embezzlement. Can you believe who was wrapped up in that scandal? William sensed his breath becoming more rapid. Olivia Harrington. Precisely. William paused, lost in thought. It seems that Isabella's absence was not merely coincidental. It appears that she did not. He ended the call and gazed out the window of his office, taking in the bustling city beneath him. Isabella shared a profound bond with Olivia. That transformed everything. Later that evening, he found himself in his office, poring over a stack of documents. Yet, he found himself unable to concentrate on even one word. Isabella's image lingered in his thoughts, the flickers of fury and fragility in her gaze, the way she always stood her ground. Before he knew it, he had snatched his car keys and sped off to the hotel where she was staying. He had to find a way to meet her. He required the truth to flow from her lips directly. The door creaked open after a brief pause, unveiling Isabella, her face etched with fatigue. Her hair had a charming disarray. William. Her voice held a note of astonishment. It's time for a conversation. With a soft sigh, she widened the door, inviting him inside. I had no idea you were making those late-night trips. I didn't either. He folded his arms, gazing intently at her. Could you please take a moment to be honest with me instead of putting me to the test? Concerning what topic? His brow furrowed. Regarding your swift acceptance of my proposal. She averted her gaze for a brief moment before finally uttering the words. For Olivia Harrington shattered my family. Those words twisted in William's gut. He was aware, yet he sought validation. Olivia played a pivotal role in my father's demise, leading to the unraveling of my existence. He studied her intently. Share all the details with me. Isabella strolled to the window, wrapping her arms around herself. My father, Richard Devereux, was the owner of one of the largest construction companies in the nation. He was a man of honor and respect until he placed his trust in the Harringtons. Olivia entered the business as a trusted ally, a person he felt he could count on. Yet, in truth, she was orchestrating his every move all along. In what way are we manipulating? Engaging in deceitful agreements, misappropriating funds, and having his name associated with unlawful transactions without his consent. When the chaos erupted, my father found himself facing accusations of corruption. He lost it all, our shelter, our sense of self-worth. Her voice trembled. He left this world before he had the chance to speak for himself. William experienced a sharp ache in his chest upon hearing that. My goodness, Isabella continued, her gaze locked onto the city beyond. Following that, everything unraveled. My mother fell ill soon after and was unable to endure. I endeavored to battle for his innocence. Yet Olivia had already shut every door in my face. Before I knew it, I was completely out of options. William rose to his feet and made his way toward her. You endured life on the streets. Indeed, that experience taught me the importance of skepticism towards others. He extended his hand and gently raised her chin, compelling her to meet his gaze. You don't need to face this by yourself. She turned her face aside. I don't require a rescuer, William. He inhaled deeply, resisting the temptation to press the issue. I understand, but that doesn't imply you should bear the weight of it all alone. Isabella released a gentle chuckle, yet it lacked any trace of amusement. Do you really believe you can keep me safe? I feel a strong desire to keep you safe. She blinked, taken aback. What is the reason behind that? He released a heavy breath, as confusion enveloped me. I can no longer discern my emotions in your presence. A prolonged silence enveloped the room. Isabella finally pivoted completely to confront him. What is the significance of that? He swept his fingers through his hair. Your presence creates a sense of discomfort within me. I've never experienced these emotions before. It's beyond my ability to articulate. She observed him intently for an extended period. Does that trouble you? Many. Perhaps it would be wise for us to maintain some space between us. He shook his head in disbelief. That isn't something I can accomplish. She averted her gaze, visibly unsettled by where the discussion was heading. This remains unchanged. I understand. Her fists tightened into hard balls. What's the situation with Olivia? The simple utterance of his former fiancée's name was sufficient to ground him once more in the present moment. If what you've said holds any truth, I'm left wondering about her true identity. Isabella gave a slow, deliberate nod. Yet I persist, and I shall not cease until I resolve this matter. William chose to keep his thoughts to himself. He understood that persuading her to relent was beyond his reach. In that case, I will stand beside you. She offered a faint, bittersweet smile. Despite the awareness that this could lead to dire consequences, he advanced, narrowing the gap that separated them. Even so, later that night, the ringing of William's phone stirred him from his slumber. William, there's an issue we need to discuss, the investigator stated from the other end. What is it exactly? Olivia is well aware of Isabella's presence, and it brings her no joy. William felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through him. What is she going to do? We are still in the dark, but there are whispers of someone seeking out details about Isabella. He tightened his jaw. Keep me informed about any developments. As he ended the call, a heaviness enveloped him. Olivia persistently hovered around Isabella. He had to take action before the moment slipped away. The following morning, William discovered Isabella on the hotel balcony. She sat on the ground, her arms encircling her knees, gazing out at the horizon. He moved in gradually, lowering himself to crouch beside her. It's clear that she's discovered the truth, isn't it? He let out a sigh, acknowledging the truth. She will persist. I won't either. William observed her intently for a brief moment. The slight disarray of her hair, the weariness in her eyes, stirred a feeling deep within him. Isabella blinked several times, as though battling the urge to cry, yet one tear escaped, trailing down the corner of her eye. It was a natural response. William enveloped her in a warm embrace, drawing her tightly against his chest. It will be all right, he whispered softly. She yielded without a fight. She gently shut her eyes and leaned her face against him. Silence enveloped them both. It was unnecessary. In that instant, without needing to voice it, they understood they were united in this, and that Olivia remained blissfully unaware of what lay ahead. William sensed that an event was on the verge of unfolding. Ever since his dialogue with Isabella the night before, his thoughts had been in a constant state of unrest. The revelation of Olivia's role in dismantling Isabella's family shifted the entire perspective. He sought retribution, driven not only by his feelings for Isabella but also by his own inner turmoil. Ultimately, he had nearly committed to a woman who could ruin lives without a second thought. Now he had to discover the lengths to which Olivia would go to safeguard her secrets. That morning, as he sifted through reports in his office, a call from his private investigator interrupted his focus. William, there seems to be an issue we need to address. Proceed. Olivia has something brewing. My sources indicate that she's collecting details about Isabella. It appears she intends to reveal something detrimental to her. William clenched his jaw tightly. What did she uncover, precisely? I'm not certain at this point, but I can confirm that she has already contacted both lawyers and journalists. If she's willing to go to such lengths, it suggests she possesses something significant. He tossed the pen onto his desk and rose to his feet, raking a hand through his hair. Discover the truth before she takes action. I'm working on it, but I recommend you give Isabella a heads up. He inhaled deeply. I'm currently en route to meet her. Upon reaching the hotel where Isabella was lodged, William rapped forcefully on the door. She opened swiftly, taken aback by his evident tension. What is it exactly? He entered uninvited, closing the door firmly behind him. Olivia is plotting her next step against you. Her gaze sharpened. Could you clarify what you mean? She's meticulously collecting details and strategizing for an impressive endeavor. My investigator suspects she may attempt to reveal your identity to the public. Isabella appeared unfazed. With a soft sigh, she crossed her arms, a gesture that spoke volumes. I anticipated this outcome, so you're just going to remain this composed about it? She chuckled, but there was no joy in it. After all I've faced, William, do you honestly believe a scandal will intimidate me? He observed her for a moment, appreciating her resilience, yet that did not diminish the peril. I have the ability to keep you safe, he declared. She arched an eyebrow. I already made it clear that I don't require a hero. This isn't about your rescue. The focus is on halting Olivia. Isabella moved in, her gaze penetrating his eyes with intensity. So, William, what are your plans moving forward? He cradled her face with care, his thumbs gliding over her skin delicately. By any means necessary. For a brief instant, she remained still, her gaze fixed on him. In her gaze, there lingered a mystery that William yearned to unravel, yet she swiftly concealed it from view. I wish to protect you from any pain that might come from my actions. He offered a subtle smile. It's past the point for that. Just as Isabella was about to reply, her phone buzzed with a vibration. She gazed at the screen, her expression tightening. What is it exactly? William inquired. She presented the screen to him. An untraceable message arrived. Exercise caution in choosing whom to place your trust in. The past has a way of creeping back into your life. He grasped the phone from her hand and examined the message intently. That was Olivia. Isabella retrieved the phone and swiftly erased the message. She's attempting to instill fear in me. William shook his head in disbelief. That indicates we're approaching something significant. She inclined her head with deliberation. We must take action before she makes her move. On the following morning, a scandal erupted. Every prominent publication featured bold headlines regarding Isabella's history. Isabella Devereux, once enveloped in opulence, now finds herself navigating the harsh realities of life after losing it all. Ex-fiancé of William Lancaster entangled in corruption scandals. The media showed no mercy, dissecting every aspect of the Devereux family's collapse, portraying Isabella as a woman who sought to outsmart the influential. Olivia took the initiative. At the office, William perused each article, a fire of indignation igniting within him. As Isabella entered the room, he rose to his feet. Have you caught a glimpse of it? With a nod, she flung a magazine onto the table. Olivia is attempting to undermine me once more. He tightened his grip, his fists balling up in determination. That won't be occurring. She let out a gentle chuckle. Your confidence is always strikingly bold. He tenderly cupped her chin, guiding her gaze to meet his. For I am always victorious. Her eyes sparkled with a hint of hope, yet determination swiftly prevailed. Then let's ensure she doesn't come out on top this time. William gave a slight nod. It's time to take Olivia Harrington down a notch. They locked eyes, holding the gaze for what felt like an eternity. They were uncertain about the outcome of this situation. The controversy surrounding Isabella captured the news cycle for several days. Olivia resorted to underhanded tactics, twisting her history to portray herself as a schemer eager to reclaim her place among the elite. Yet Isabella stood undeterred. After years of anticipation, the moment had finally arrived. She would not falter at this moment. William was aware of that as well. Yet, he was aware that Olivia still had more to say. She would make one last attempt, and they needed to be prepared. That evening, Isabella found herself presented with an unforeseen invitation. An exclusive dinner at the Harrington Club. Only select members. Your attendance is required. She clutched the invitation with determination. William lounged on the couch in her room, glancing at the note before letting out a scoff. This is clearly a snare. I understand. He rose to his feet. In that case, you won't be going. Isabella cast him a challenging glance. Absolutely, I'm going. William sealed his lips tightly. Isabella. This is my time, William. I won't be running. He inhaled deeply, his fingers combing through his hair. Then let's ensure that Olivia is the sole one to face defeat tonight. The Harrington mansion glowed warmly, bustling with a carefully chosen gathering for the occasion. Isabella entered the room solo, clad in a sophisticated black dress that radiated strength and intrigue. William had arrived, seamlessly merging with the throng, observing every nuance. Suddenly, Olivia emerged. Isabella, she remarked, a wicked grin playing on her lips. I'm pleased you decided to join me. You left me with little option, Isabella responded, accepting a glass of champagne from a passing waiter. Olivia inclined her head. I trust that you've appreciated the spotlight that's been shining on you recently. The story captured the media's attention beautifully. I've become quite accustomed to being in the spotlight. It's something you've longed for, isn't it? For a brief moment, a spark of anger ignited in Olivia's eyes, but she swiftly collected herself. Isabella, my dear, it seems you've faced defeat once more. Text regardless of your efforts, you will never be that person again. Isabella beamed with joy. Your perspective is mistaken. Olivia squinted her eyes intently. Could you clarify what you mean? William stood next to Isabella, his commanding presence causing Olivia to tense up. Dear Olivia, it seems you missed the news today, he remarked, offering her an envelope. Olivia opened it, her face draining of color as she absorbed the words. A comprehensive file laid bare her connection to the plot that had devastated the Devereux family. Files, audio, endorsements, irrefutable proof. This is not real. Olivia whispered, her hands shaking. No, it's not, Isabella declared with a sense of victory. By tomorrow morning, it will dominate every front page. Olivia utterly unraveled. This isn't something you can impose on me. William's smile was devoid of warmth. Is that what you did to Isabella? Olivia surveyed her surroundings, acutely aware that she was the center of attention. The controversy was already unfolding. Her standing was shattered. She had reached the end. This can't be happening, she whispered, her voice trembling with disbelief. Isabella drew closer, her voice a soft murmur as she leaned in to share her secret. Now you understand the weight of losing it all. Olivia surveyed her surroundings, acutely aware that all eyes were on her in this moment of embarrassment. Her realm of influence was disintegrating right before her eyes. Just as she was about to respond, the ballroom door burst open. 2 officers entered the room, accompanied by a prosecutor. Is this Miss Olivia Harrington? An officer made an announcement. She stood still, didn't she? You are being charged with financial fraud, embezzlement, and market manipulation. All at once, the ballroom was enveloped in silence. Olivia released a nervous chuckle. This is utterly absurd. My name is Olivia Harrington, and now you find yourself branded a criminal. Isabella responded with an icy demeanor. The officers advanced and secured Olivia in handcuffs. William, she cried out, filled with urgency. Express yourself. He regarded her with a detached gaze. The sole error you made was believing you could evade detection forever. As she was pulled away, Olivia cast a final glance at Isabella, her gaze seething with animosity. This is far from finished. Certainly is for you. And in an instant, before the very elite who had once held her in high regard, Olivia was whisked away. Isabella exhaled deeply. After years of feeling confined, she finally experienced a profound sense of freedom. The following day, the headlines were consumed by Olivia's arrest. Her financial empire crumbled in mere hours as investors and allies turned their backs on her. As the evening unfolded, Isabella and William found themselves in his penthouse, gazing out at the sprawling cityscape through the window. She cradled a glass of wine, yet refrained from taking a sip. She was lost in contemplation. You accomplished it, William remarked. We accomplished it, he beamed. And now, Isabella let out a deep breath. I begin anew. William experienced a strange constriction in his chest upon hearing that. I wish to assist you. She regarded him with a hint of doubt. In what way? He approached her, retrieved an envelope, and presented it to her. This document outlines a proposal for an innovative business venture, tailored specifically under your name. She blinked, taken aback. Excuse me? I wish to embark on a new endeavor for you. A venture uniquely yours, bearing your name, embodying your freedom. She placed her wine glass on the table and folded her arms. William, I appreciate your intentions, but I can manage on my own. He let out a soft laugh, shaking his head in amusement. This is not an act of charity. It is a collaboration. Your abilities are remarkable, and your perspective is inspiring. I wish for you to possess something that is truly yours. She paused, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. I'm uncertain. He grasped her hands gently in his. Isabella, you have dedicated years to your struggle. Now is the moment to begin creating something substantial. She held her silence for what felt like an eternity. Then, she let out a deep sigh. Very well, but only under one stipulation. Which condition are you referring to? She moved nearer, her gaze fixed on his. I approach this in my own unique style. William beamed. You consistently managed to do so. A shift occurred in the atmosphere surrounding them. A warm, intense presence lingered in the air. She averted her gaze, yet he tenderly cradled her face. Isabella surrendered to the moment as he drew her in for a kiss. This time, nothing stood in their way. The atmosphere was charged, emotions simmering beneath the surface. And then, in an instant, it all came to a head. William embraced her firmly, as though fearing she could vanish at any moment. After the kiss, Isabella withdrew, locked eyes with him, and gently whispered, "Good night, William." She pivoted and strode off into the distance. William remained motionless, yet he sensed that she was experiencing something as well. Several days later, Devereux Consulting came into existence. With a keen eye for opportunity, Isabella immersed herself in the strategic investment and analysis firm, assembling her team and rekindling relationships with former contacts. Gradually, she started to assert her presence in the professional arena. William remained by her side throughout, never intrusive, yet consistently there. It was on a particular night that he came to the profound realization that he needed to express his true feelings to her. Without a moment's pause, he declared his love for her. She blinked, taken by surprise. "Is that you, William? I realize it may be premature, but I can no longer maintain the facade." She averted her gaze, her heart racing. "I am unable to do that. Could you clarify what you mean?" She inhaled deeply. "I'm not prepared for a romantic involvement. I've recently reclaimed my life, and my attention must be directed towards that journey." William nodded, a pang of pain coursing through him, more than he was willing to acknowledge. "Understood." She offered him a gentle smile. "Your understanding is unwavering. However, I am not someone who surrenders without a fight." In the days that came after, William ensured she understood that he was not backing down. Each morning, he placed a steaming cup of coffee on her desk, a small gesture of warmth and care. "To sustain your spirit," he'd remark with a grin. Next arrived the dinners. Could this be considered a date? One evening, she inquired. "It was merely a dinner among business associates," he responded nonchalantly. And then the little unexpected delights. After a long day, Isabella stepped into her office one night and discovered a bouquet of white lilies waiting for her on the desk, accompanied by a note. "I understand your preference for coffee over flowers, but I hope you find some joy in these regardless." She let out a soft laugh, sensing a flicker of emotion awaken within her. Yet William had motives beyond merely winning her affection. He stood by her side. When an investor attempted to mislead her, William was the first to alert her. As the media sought to distort her narrative, he leveraged his influence to guarantee that the truth emerged unscathed. When Isabella faced a challenging day, he arrived with a bottle of wine and an expression of genuine concern. "Would you like to discuss it?" She paused, yet for the first time, permitted herself to reveal her thoughts. As the months rolled on, Devereux Consulting continued to gain strength with each passing day. Isabella finally sensed that she was steering her own destiny. Yet there was an undeniable truth she faced. William was perpetually present. She attempted to dismiss the emotions that arose each time he flashed her a smile. One evening, Isabella found herself at a business event that brought together the most prominent figures in the industry. She glided through the room, acknowledging investors and CEOs with the poise of one who had endured the harshest trials and emerged victorious. The navy blue dress exuded sophistication while maintaining an understated elegance, effortlessly capturing attention. She concentrated on forging significant connections, yet it wasn't long before she felt the presence of someone observing her. Liam Bissett, a distinguished French investor, approached with an engaging smile. He possessed an undeniable charm, his dark hair framing a face marked by intense, captivating eyes. "Miss Devereux, it is a true delight to finally encounter you in person." Isabella offered a courteous smile. "The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Bissett." He reached out, but rather than a conventional handshake, he leaned in gently and pressed his lips to the back of her hand, a charming and timeless gesture. "The pleasure is all mine," he said, his gaze locked onto hers. Isabella had encountered such advances before, yet she held her composure firmly. "I take it you're here for business," she remarked. "Perhaps we could pause the business for a moment. What do you think?" He inclined his head slightly and reached out a hand toward her. "Could I have the pleasure of this dance?" After a moment of uncertainty, she chose to embrace the opportunity. Movement held no significance. Liam led her to the dance floor, his grip on her waist both secure and considerate. They flowed together effortlessly, and Isabella recognized his remarkable talent on the dance floor. "Your dancing is quite impressive, Miss Devereux. She responded that having a commanding presence is crucial in the business world. What about beyond the realm of business? He smiled, inclining a bit nearer. Don't you ever find yourself savoring the simple pleasures of life? Isabella released a gentle chuckle. Is your determination a constant trait? It's only when I discover something that truly captivates my attention. The final notes faded away, yet Liam lingered, his grip on her hand unwavering. He guided her back to the bar, where he poured 2 glasses of champagne, offering one to Isabella. So, I'm curious, does someone as dynamic as you ever carve out moments for enjoyment? Before Isabella could respond, she sensed an intense gaze upon her. She pivoted and caught sight of William Lancaster across the room. His expression was grave. His eyes clouded over with an emotion she recognized immediately: envy. William moved across the room with purposeful steps, dismissing the salutations that came his way. As he approached Isabella and Liam, he halted next to her, his annoyance just beneath the surface. Isabella, could we have a brief conversation? His voice carried a strong conviction, yet it was tinged with an undercurrent of strain. Liam arched an eyebrow and presented a courteous smile. Are you Mr. Lancaster? I've come across quite a bit of information about you. And I've heard about you, William said with a chill in his voice. A chill settled in the air around them. William, we're in the midst of a discussion, Isabella remarked, striving to keep her poise. Indeed, I observed, William remarked, casting a look at Liam. While I find this unfolding drama captivating, I must prioritize a more pressing conversation with Isabella. Liam kept a courteous attitude, yet Isabella could feel that he had noticed the underlying tension. Liam chuckled softly, noting that her friend appeared to be quite possessive of the spotlight. Before Isabella had a chance to reply, William advanced a step, signaling his discontent with the remark. Your time on the stage has come to an end, Bissett. Now, if you would be so kind, Isabella huffed, seizing William's arm with determination. Pardon me, Mr. Bissett, I shall return shortly. With determination, she guided William to a quieter spot, her strides confident. As they stepped into a corridor distant from the lively dance floor, she pivoted to face him, seething with anger. What was that, William? He swept his fingers through his hair, attempting to soothe his frustration. I found it unbearable to watch that guy flirt with you. And that grants you the permission to behave like a total fool? Were you truly unaware of the way he gazed at you? He had no interest in business, Isabella. If that's the case, it's my concern, not yours. William paused, his eyes shimmering with irritation. You're correct, he finally confessed, but I loathe the thought of watching you with someone else. Isabella inhaled deeply, striving to rein in her frustration. I belong to no one, William. Jealousy is unwarranted in this situation. As she made her way out, William trailed behind her to the parking lot. Isabella, hold on. She whirled around suddenly. What else could you possibly desire? Please hear me out. I've had my fill. It's important for you to realize that I am not someone you can dictate to. The air crackled with intensity between them. William fixed her with an intense gaze, and Isabella sensed a rush of adrenaline coursing through her veins. In an unexpected moment, he drew her close and pressed his lips against hers. The kiss was urgent, charged with frustration and unexpressed longing. Isabella paused for a moment, but then, unable to hold back, she returned his kiss. But then, the weight of reality descended upon her, and she gently distanced herself from him. That isn't possible. William's breath came in quick gasps, his gaze filled with longing. I understand you experienced it. That offers no justification whatsoever. She pivoted gracefully and slipped into her car. Before he could utter another syllable, she accelerated out of the parking lot, leaving William in her wake. The following day, Isabella found herself in her office, yet her thoughts lingered on the events that had transpired. She struggled to concentrate on her reports, yet the lingering memory of the kiss lingered in her mind. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and in stepped William. You can't just show up unannounced, she remarked, her gaze fixed elsewhere. I have come to express my regrets. At last, she turned her gaze toward him. Is it for the jealousy, or for the kiss you took? He let out a deep sigh, feeling the weight of both emotions. All right, I appreciate your understanding. I have some tasks to attend to now. William decided against pressing the matter and turned to leave. She redirected her attention to her papers. How about we engage in a fun little activity with those who focus solely on the comments? Leave a comment with Coca-Cola. Only those who have journeyed to this point will truly grasp the meaning. Let us proceed with the narrative. That evening, Isabella departed from the office after hours. As she neared her vehicle, a sense of unease washed over her, signaling that something was amiss. The window bore a scratch, a word clumsily carved into the glass. Beware. Her blood turned to ice. There was an attempt to instill fear in her. Her initial impulse was to reach out to William, yet she paused. She was reluctant to provide him with yet another excuse to assume the role of her guardian. Just as she was about to make her choice, a notification popped up on her phone. By yourself, progress will be elusive. Recognize the moment to step back. This time, she moved forward without a moment's pause. She lifted the receiver and pressed the numbers. William picked up on the second ring. What transpired? My car has been scratched, and now I've received a threatening message. His silence endured for just a moment before his voice emerged with conviction. I'm en route. 15 minutes later, William arrived beside her vehicle. He examined the scratches on the window, his demeanor stern. How are you doing? Indeed, she remarked, folding her arms across her chest. It's clear that this demands your attention, doesn't it? I understand. William retrieved his phone and dialed a number belonging to one of his private security associates. I'm looking for the camera footage from this area. Discover the identity of the person responsible for this immediately. Isabella observed him as he seized command of the situation, addressing the issue with the effortless confidence of someone seasoned in confronting challenges. Despite her reluctance to depend on others, she experienced an unexpected wave of comfort in his presence at that moment. After William ended the call, he faced her. Until we uncover the identity of the person responsible for this, I would like you to have additional security measures in place. William, absolutely not. The days that followed were steeped in tension. William uncovered that the assaults on Isabella's company were being masterminded by a former associate of Olivia, intent on thwarting her ascent. Upon discovering the truth, Isabella acted without a moment's pause. She arranged a meeting with the man and, with William by her side, asserted her stance without fear. Did you really believe you could frighten me? She spoke, maintaining a steady tone. Allow me to clarify. I've faced total loss before, yet now I stand resolute, unwavering in my determination. The man gulped with difficulty. He realized defeat was inevitable. Following that encounter, the assaults ceased. Isabella demonstrated her resilience as an adversary, yet her triumph brought about an unforeseen consequence. She came to understand that all along, William had been there for her, not to shield her from challenges she couldn't face, but to stand by her side in support. And that prompted her to wonder why she continued to maintain her distance. One evening, Isabella sat in her office, deep in contemplation when William entered. It's been 3 months since you launched the company, he remarked, casually tossing a small box onto the desk. She grasped it and unfolded it. Within lay a silver keychain, elegantly engraved with the letter I. In a moment of festivity, he expressed. She smiled, a gentle warmth blossoming within her chest. Thank you very much. He observed her intently for a brief moment before uttering a word. Will you ever cease your escape from me? She paused, the air caught in her lungs. William, I'm not requesting anything. I simply seek to understand if there exists a possibility. Her heart raced within her chest. She possessed the knowledge, yet the words remained unspoken for now. He observed. It's all right, he remarked, taking a step back. As I mentioned, I possess a sense of patience. As he exited the room, Isabella released a breath she hadn't known she was holding. She sensed she was on the brink of surrender, Yet when she ultimately arrived at that choice, it would be irrevocable. And that filled her with a fear deeper than any danger she had ever encountered. The following day began just like all the rest. Isabella made her way to the office ahead of schedule, deeply engaged in a flurry of reports and meetings. With the disruptions to her company now behind her, she could finally concentrate on expanding the business. Yet, as the morning unfolded, an unsettling feeling started to creep in. William failed to make an appearance. That was quite unexpected. William had a knack for appearing, even if only for a fleeting moment, armed with a work-related excuse or just to playfully provoke her. Yet that morning he failed to call, neglected to send any messages, and did not appear. Initially, Isabella attempted to dismiss it. Yet, as time slipped away, a sense of discomfort began to swell within her. By 8 o'clock in the evening, she reached her breaking point. She snatched her coat and exited the office, making her way to William's penthouse. Upon her arrival, she pressed the doorbell repeatedly. No response. Her heart pounded in her chest. She retrieved the spare key that William had entrusted to her for urgent situations and opened the door. The apartment was bathed in a soft, muted glow. The atmosphere was hushed, punctuated only by the soft murmur of the television. It was at that moment she caught sight of him. William reclined on the couch, a delicate blanket draped over him, his complexion wan and his breaths labored. "William." Isabella hurried to his side, gently resting her hand on his forehead. He was ablaze with intensity. He gradually opened his eyes, taken aback to find her presence before him. "Isabella, oh my goodness, you seem to have a fever." She cupped his face in her hands, concern etched across her features. "It's just the flu," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm taking you to the hospital," Isabella declared, her fingers swiftly reaching for her phone. Yet William grasped her wrist, halting her movement. "No, I simply require some time to recuperate." "William, you're on fire." He attempted a smile. "If I visit the hospital, they will draw my blood." "I can't stand needles," Isabella sighed in frustration. "You are truly a challenge." William shut his eyes, weary from the day's burdens. Isabella rose from her slumber and made her way to the kitchen, where she set about brewing a steaming cup of tea and retrieving a damp cloth. She made her way back to the living room, kneeling beside the sofa and gently laying the cloth on his forehead. "This will assist in reducing your fever." He slowly opened his eyes, gazing at her with a gentle warmth. "You really didn't need to show up." "Indeed, I did." The stillness that enveloped them was thick with significance. Isabella found herself reluctant to acknowledge the truth, yet the sight of him stirred an unsettling ache within her chest. She devoted the whole night to looking after him. She prepared tea, replaced the cold cloth on his forehead, and remained by his side. Eventually, fatigue enveloped me in the stillness of the night. She drifted off to sleep in that moment, seated on the floor with her head gently resting against his chest. The following morning, Isabella stirred awake to the soft caress of William's fingers weaving through her hair. "Did you spend the entire night here?" he inquired, his tone more assertive. After a few blinks, she raised her head. "Your condition was quite poor. It was essential for someone to look after you." He smiled, his hand brushing thoughtfully across his face. "I am feeling significantly improved. I believe I encountered the most exceptional nurse imaginable." She let out a gentle laugh and rose to her feet. "I shall prepare breakfast." Isabella entered the kitchen, meticulously arranging all the ingredients with great care. Warm bread, perfectly cut fruit, vibrant orange juice, and robust coffee. Upon her return with the tray, she discovered William on the couch, observing her with a newfound expression. "What is it exactly?" she inquired. He inhaled deeply before uttering a word. "My dearest Isabella, I hold you in the deepest affection." She paused for a moment. "William, I understand that you share these feelings. I noticed it last night, the concern you had for me." She bit her lip, her heart racing with intensity. This time, there was no justification for refusal. "I cherish you as well, William." His eyes sparkled with joy. At last, he whispered, drawing her into a close embrace. She chuckled softly against his chest, overwhelmed with a sense of joy. Your determination truly paid off. They separated, and Isabella began to serve breakfast. William observed her every action, as though he were committing each detail to memory. I want you to take the day off, he said abruptly. She arched an eyebrow. Excuse me? I wish to bring you to a place that holds significance. She paused. Yet after the events of the previous night, she felt an undeniable pull to stay close to him. So, what's our destination? It's an unexpected delight. William led her to a hidden cabin nestled on a tranquil beach. Upon exiting the car, Isabella found herself at a loss for words. William, this is truly exquisite. He grinned. I was certain you would enjoy it. The afternoon was spent strolling along the shore, where the ocean breeze danced around them as they engaged in deep conversation about all manner of things. William settled onto a rock, his gaze fixed on her with a contemplative expression. What could it be? She inquired, taking a seat next to him. He inhaled deeply before uttering a word. Before I crossed paths with you, I was full of myself, driven by ambition. My sole focus was on power and my own interests. Isabella remained silent, her attention fully engaged. But then you arrived and began to push my boundaries. Initially, it annoyed me, but soon I found myself captivated. He gazed at her. You were the first individual who dared to confront me without fear. And that made me aware that I was in the company of individuals who readily agreed to everything I desired. You opened my eyes to a new perspective on the world. Her heart constricted. I never sought to alter you, William. However, you did. You transformed me into a better person, more compassionate, more grounded. Isabella smiled gently, and I found myself captivated by this side of you. He grasped her hand, his gaze firmly fixed on hers. I have a question for you. She furrowed her brow, a hint of bewilderment crossing her features. Excuse me? William rose to his feet and retrieved an item from his pocket. Isabella's eyes grew large with surprise as she caught sight of a small box. He unveiled it, exposing a dazzling diamond ring. Isabella Devereux, I aim to approach this with the utmost care and precision. I long to cherish you as you truly deserve, with utmost respect, unwavering patience, and all the love I can give. Her eyes brimmed with tears. Would you do me the honor of becoming my spouse? She acted without hesitation. Absolutely. William grinned as he gently placed the ring on her finger, then drew her in for a fervent kiss. In that instant, Isabella realized that all obstacles had vanished, and this was merely the dawn of something far more extraordinary. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the beach as Isabella and William made their way back to the cabin. The air held a lingering warmth, infused with the ocean's fragrance, as a soft breeze playfully tousled her hair. William grasped Isabella's hand tightly, as though fearing she could vanish at any moment. Yet, all uncertainties had vanished. They were meant for one another. I can hardly wrap my head around the fact that we're engaged, Isabella remarked, her gaze fixed on the ring glimmering on her finger. William beamed, drawing her nearer. I anticipated this outcome. You simply needed some time to come to terms with it. She chuckled, rolling her eyes in amusement. You always persevere, don't you? Absolutely not. Not in relation to you. Her heart swelled at his words. She had never envisioned discovering a connection so profound, so genuine. Later that night, William crafted a delightful dinner for them on the cabin's terrace. The table was adorned with flickering candles, while the rhythmic crashing of waves against the shore set an enchanting mood. You're in the kitchen, Isabella playfully remarked, admiring the beautifully arranged dish. In an effort to impress his fiancée, William poured wine for both of them. She lifted her glass and offered a toast. To us, to what lies ahead. William gently tapped his glass against hers. To the love of my life. They raised their glasses and savored the meal, exchanging laughter and affectionate looks. As the final notes faded away, William gently grasped Isabella's hand, drawing her close for a dance beneath the twinkling stars. Do you recall the very first moment we shared a dance? he inquired, leading her gently. I recall that business event vividly. He chuckled, revealing just how incredibly jealous you were. I once believed I had to be, but now I realize that was never necessary. From the very beginning, it was destined for us to be together. Isabella beamed, leaning her head gently against his chest. There, twirling beneath the vast expanse of stars, she understood that she would no longer need to escape her emotions. After months of anticipation, the momentous day had finally come. Isabella had never envisioned herself dreaming of a wedding. Yet there she stood, clad in white, on the brink of saying I do to the man who had transformed her life. The event unfolded in a stunning garden beside the ocean. Delicate white blooms adorned the altar, while graceful chairs were meticulously positioned for the attendees. The gentle murmur of the ocean in the background wove a spellbinding ambience. William stood at the altar, dressed impeccably in a sleek black suit. As Isabella graced the aisle, time seemed to freeze for a heartbeat. She was breathtaking, her hair cascaded in gentle waves, and the exquisite dress accentuated her beauty in a dreamlike manner. Yet, what truly enchanted him was the glimmer in her gaze. Isabella approached him, her smile filled with emotion. As she approached the altar, William took her hands in his and softly murmured, "You look beautiful." She smiled, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. The officiant commenced the ceremony, discussing the essence of affection, collaboration, and the significance of creating a shared existence. As the moment for the vows approached, William inhaled deeply before beginning. Isabella, the instant our eyes met, you sparked a challenge within me. Your refusal to bow down to me, your unwillingness to accept my decisions without question, is precisely what drew me to you. Isabella's eyes brimmed with tears. You showed me how to improve myself. Your influence has shown me that wealth and authority hold no value without a companion to experience life alongside. I vow to cherish, honor, and bring you joy each and every day of my existence. Isabella struggled to hold back her feelings as she started to recite her vows. William, I dedicated my life to battling solitude, believing that trust was a luxury I could never afford. Yet you remained unwavering. Your unwavering support has always been there for me. Today, I realize that a life without you is unimaginable. As they exchanged rings, the moment reached its peak when the officiant proclaimed them husband and wife. William drew her into a fervent kiss, met with the enthusiastic applause of their guests. It was confirmed. They were partners in life. The honeymoon was absolutely delightful. They journeyed to stunning locales, savoring each moment in each other's company. Upon their return, their journey as a married couple began in a way that exceeded their wildest dreams. William was determined to pamper her, serving coffee in bed each morning, while Isabella reciprocated with enchanting dinners. Their affection deepened with each passing moment. Yet, a transformation started to unfold within Isabella. She experienced an odd sensation, perpetually fatigued and feeling queasy. One morning, while in the bathroom, she felt her heart race as she gazed at the pregnancy test in her hands. 2 lines. She was expecting. She was engulfed by a wave of emotion, and tears cascaded down her cheeks. She and William were expecting a child. However, when she visited the doctor for confirmation, the revelation was even more astonishing. She anticipated the arrival of twins. Upon arriving home, William discovered her seated on the couch, cradling the ultrasound in her hands. Isabella, what seems to be the issue? She gazed at him, her eyes sparkling with light. Is that you, William? I am expecting a baby. He paused for a moment. Excuse me? With a gentle smile, she took his hands and placed the ultrasound in his palm. We're expecting twins. William's eyes grew large as a broad smile blossomed on his face. Oh my goodness. He chuckled, enveloping her in a firm embrace. We're expecting twins? Absolutely. He cradled her face in his hands, leaning in to kiss her with a profound intensity. You have just shared the most incredible news I've ever received. She chuckled amidst her weeping. My affection for you runs deep, William, and my affection for you knows no bounds. The ensuing months unfolded like a tumultuous ride of emotions. William grew increasingly protective, indulging Isabella at every turn. He engaged with the little ones before they drifted off to sleep, offered soothing foot massages, and made sure she took it easy. At last, during the baby shower, encircled by loved ones, they announced the exciting news of expecting both a boy and a girl. William embraced Isabella and murmured, "We forged an empire side by side. Now we shall create a family." She beamed, her heart brimming with joy, and it will be the finest one yet. In that instant, Isabella realized she possessed all that she had ever longed for: a place to call home, a deep connection, and the beginnings of a beautiful family. And she would always have company from that moment on. How did you feel about the tale of Isabella and William? Share your reflections in the comments section. Please provide a rating for this story on a scale from 0 to 10. Join our channel and activate notifications to stay updated with all our narratives. Be sure to catch more touching stories by clicking on the screen now.